Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Weekly for Saturday, May 21st, 2022. That's a lot of 20s, one sort or another. Hope that this day finds you well and healthy and such. We've got a show about moving forward, going somewhere, going places, whatever that little thing just said. You know, that's what we're doing today. Got a very big week ahead in the Vegas tips and tricks universe. So I'll be talking about some of that going forward as well. We do have another channel that I want to share with you today, which I'll do towards the end of the show. And yeah, not a lot of news. I did see something today that the Oakland A's have now got the sites in Las Vegas down to maybe 2 for another potential stadium in our fair city. So we'll see how that goes. And we did see this past week that MGM has officially taken over the Cosmopolitan. It's a done deal, I guess. They own it now. So that didn't take too long as far as the acquisitions are concerned. And so it's still a subject of speculation exactly what the time frame is going to be on what, for most of us, is the thing we're most interested in, and that is merging the players' clubs and seeing how it treats the Cosmopolitan customers, I guess, in particular, because they're the ones that are being sort of absorbed here. So stay tuned for that as we discover more information about it. We will, of course, share it here on the show. Speaking of the show, I know many of you, at least a handful, were disappointed that we did not, in fact, do a live stream during the month of April. We were going to, and then there were some snafus and some issues that came up, and it just didn't work out. We are going to do it this week, this Wednesday night, classic time, 6 p.m. Vegas time. That's 9 on the East Coast, 8 where I am, actually, and 7 in the mountain places. So that is coming up on this Wednesday. Now the current plan is a change of venue. You will not be seeing this set behind you, assuming that things go as planned. And you know, there's always, again, possibility of some last minute issues there, but we are planning a different location and perhaps a special moderator in the background. We shall see. Hopefully that comes to pass, but there will be a show, and we'll talk about whatever we talk about. I do have a fun new beverage to try, as well as some interesting candies. So those of you who've been missing the Wednesday show and the fun food things we always did, we've got some things that we're going to try out on the show there as well. In addition, this week, we will do our normal Tuesday and Thursday Vegas tips and tricks show. They're only like 2 minutes long. They don't take that long to produce, trust me. So we will do those as well. And starting on Monday this week and going forward on Monday, we are reviving the podcast. We're going to get serious about the podcast now. I thought it actually went pretty well, but we have not been on the ball as far as regularly kicking content to you all. Content that you can listen to in your car or, you know, on the train or bus, wherever. So we will do that starting this Monday and each Monday following. Okay, that's my commitment to you, the viewer, or in this case, the listener. We are on several platforms. We do the podcast through Podbean. So if you sign up on their site, you can find us. We're on Spotify and we're on Apple, finally. So there'll be a link to those. I'll tell you give you the exact name to search for on those 3 services where you can find the podcast and hopefully join in and listen. And the reason I'm doing this is because when I first started this, or shortly after I first started doing the podcast last spring, I guess it must have been, I decided to upgrade my subscription or my package, whatever you want to call it, that I was getting through Podbean, from their basic free service to one that provided more bandwidth and and more downloads, things, and just in case everything just really took off. Well, I didn't really remember that it was about to process again, and so I got a nice email a couple of days ago that said, "Hey, you've paid for another year." Like, well, if I'm going to pay for another year, this time I'm really going to devote more energy to it. So look for that on Mondays. I mean, it's going to be real stream of consciousness stuff. We've been doing Vegas memories. That's been a part of the show, and that's probably going to continue on for several more weeks. So if you've enjoyed that particular segment, there you go. So that's come. So we got the show today, and then Monday we got the podcast. Tuesday, the Vegas Tips and Tricks segment. Wednesday, the live stream. Thursday, another Vegas Tips and Tricks segment. And then by a week from now, well, Friday night, recording the show once again. So it's going to be a very busy week, and I hope you can join us for all of those things. Also coming up, those of you who are familiar, and most of you are, if you're on Facebook and you haven't been kicked out, you're probably in the Facebook group. And I believe we are closing in on 92,000 members. When we get that 100,000, which it looks like we're going to within a fairly short time frame, we will do a live celebrating that as well. We will probably try to do that live both on Facebook and YouTube, because it looks like I can do that through StreamYard. So that's something to keep an eye on. I did not put a link to the Facebook group in the show notes. I did put a link, like I said, to the podcast. And also our Twitter and Instagram and TikTok is all on there if you'd like to follow the Vegas Tips and Tricks universe on all of our social media. Instagram is not very active. I post a picture now and then. But we've gotten over like 2,000 followers, which surprises me. But we continue to get followers. So we'll try to do some more stills that are meaningful about Las Vegas in particular on the next trip. I don't know when the next trip is. We're still looking at that. There's a number of possibilities. It should be sometime in the summer, probably mid to late summer. But the exact times and dates are not set yet. If they were, I would share them with you. But there's nothing in stone at this point. Also, I put a link to the Twitter, which I think we have about 3,600 followers on the Twitter. And I post fairly frequently on there. A lot of times I retweet things that I think might be of interest to folks, as well as sort of bantering back and forth with my buddies along the way. So that's a fun site. And again, I think there's actually clickable links. I think it'll turn out that way. To both the Twitter and the Instagram, if you want to check us out there. The TikTok is, again, kind of like Instagram. It's pretty erratic. I did a number of short, random sort of things when I was in Vegas the last couple of times. There's even one that was live, well, kind of live, from the Keno wedding. So I want to check that out, or maybe you don't. But I did put the links in there if you want to check it out and see what's going on with that. So yeah, so that's all in the near future. Before we move on with the rest of the show, I did want to thank the following people who make this show, partly make this show possible. Okay, yeah, big thanks to those folks. If you'd like to become an executive producer or just join our Vegas Tips and Tricks world as a member, you can click that little join button, tells you all about it. You get to see this show like a few hours earlier, which is pretty darned exciting. Speaking of exciting, we're going to be changing up the Vegas Tips and Tricks show a little bit. Now, it's not going to be longer, so you don't have to feel bad about not watching the whole thing, because 2 minutes of me is all you can take. No, we're going to keep the length about the way it is, 2 to 2.5 minutes. I like that length. It forces me to be very concise and just hit up some of the high points. Tuesdays, we're going to continue with just sort of generalized Vegas tips. As time goes on, it gets harder and harder to figure out exactly what to talk about. So they'll probably be becoming a little bit more specific. You know, we talked about bathtubs on this last show, which I thought was a really fun one to do. We got good response on that. So, you know, you may very well have a show where we talk about balconies. It won't take very long to talk about balconies or pools or, you know, things like that. Thursday's show, at least for a while, and I think we can do this for quite a while, and you'll see why, we're going to focus on Vegas tips and tricks about particular resorts, hotels, casinos. So we'll do a show, 2.5 minutes, talking about some of the high points about, say, the Wynn, or Wynn Encore, or Treasure Island, or Golden Gate. So I think that'll be fun. I've stayed at a lot of these places. I've spent quite a bit of time at most of these places, and have studied up on a lot of the places where I haven't spent quite as much time or haven't stayed. So I think I can provide you with some good information. You know, basically, is this a good place to stay? You know, what kind of rooms should I expect? Are there upgrades available? What's a good, inexpensive place to eat? You know, do they have any great shows? Things like that. So I don't know what the first one will be. But we'll work our way up and down the Strip and up and down Fremont Street and to some of the outlying regions as well. And I think that'll be a fun thing to do. Speaking of fun things, this week saw the end of, I think, one of the most fun things that anybody has thought to do in the last couple of years as far as the Vegas vlogging community, the VVC. Is that what we're going to call it now? Like many of you who are watching this show, I can remember when the Vegas vlogging community was a handful of people. We all kind of knew each other. Anymore, you can't really tell all the players without a scorecard. I met so many people at the Keno wedding that I was like, oh, that's that name. People I had either seen their channels, or I had seen them on Twitter, or I had seen them in a chat or a live stream. But I still can't keep track of them all. But for the past, like 50, I guess probably there have been a few breaks in it. Probably about the last 15 months or so, 14, 15 months. I think he probably watches this show, so he can correct me on that. Gentleman by the name of Kevin, who lives in the San Diego area and goes by the name Vegas Visual, has been giving us a rundown on what's going on in the world of Vegas vlogging. Has kept track of, you know, people's number of subscriptions, keeps hunting down new and interesting channels for us, and shares milestones that people have reached. He brought us through the whole excitement of the Keno wedding this past fall into the spring. You know, and also through some of the difficult times that we've had this past year or so. But it was always a great resource, you know, 5 or 10 minutes, and you knew what was going on with all the little people like myself, but also, you know, folks like Travel Ruby or Norma Helly, people that have become big stars. Say hi to Matthew. Hi, Matthew. And he decided, and I'm not surprised, that was a big job. He did his final show, at least his final weekly show, this past week. So if you didn't get a chance to check it out, it's a longer show. It's kind of a flashback to some of the highlights over the last 57 episodes of the show. And so we want to thank him for his service to the community. He brought a lot of people into the community. We became aware of people. And so it was a great resource. And Kevin's continuing to do stuff on his channel. I've mentioned his channel before. He's doing more sort of long form, really documentaries, you might as well say, on the history of Las Vegas, and knows as much about it as anybody I know of, probably more. So definitely still worth checking out his channel. Okay, to wrap up today, I'll show you my featured YouTube channel of the week. And it's not the most active channel out there. And it's not all Vegas content, but there is some good, fun Vegas content on there. So it's definitely worth checking out. But I had an opportunity to meet this individual, well, not in person, but get to know this person over the course of the past few years. has been a great supporter of this show and has a lot of interest outside of just Las Vegas. And one other feature she has, which is great, is that Mark Anderson, Pennies, is afraid of her. So without any further ado, let's share the channel of Cathy Grant, Spooky Peg. All right, so yeah, Cathy is a great contributor to the Vegas Tips and Tricks universe. Has been a moderator in our Facebook group for, well, I'd say probably a year and a half. Has done a great job helping us out there. In addition to her main channel, she's recently launched a music channel called Reignite. I think it's mentioned on the blurb, where she has interviewed a number of pretty prominent individuals in the British pop music scene. And so if you're interested in that, that's definitely worth checking out as well. But I just wanted to give Cathy a shout out and let you know about what she's doing on the YouTube. As always, there'll be a link to the channel in the show notes below, so click through and subscribe. Maybe if you subscribe, she'll do more content for us. You never know. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. We got a busy week ahead, so I hope you can join us for all that. Until next time, I hope that you have a great, lucky, and healthy week. We'll see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.